Once again, I jump into At the Gates here. I'll note that if you basically check my YouTube channel, you'll find I basically have another playlist for this game with the picks on normal difficulty. And I actually suggest that you go check out that playlist first if you're possibly either never heard of At the Gates and never seen its gameplay, or if you basically just want to see the first playlist I had for this game. I'll note that in that playlist, I basically sort of went over the game in a more of shall we say, explorative approach, where I basically noted things as they came up that were basically new to basically discover. And I'll do a little bit of that in this series here, but not as much as I was basically for that series, and definitely not for stuff that I basically already noted in that series as well. But to give a brief little synopsis of what this game is, Jon Shafer's At the Gates is essentially a game where you're playing as a tribe in the era of the fall of the Roman empires, or at least the Western one. The Eastern one, of course, went to grow to become Byzantine Empire at some point, for some time in history, and lasted for a while, long after the Western Roman Empire fell. But, well, that's basically history, and it doesn't have to be that way, of course. You could go conquer them. I'll note, by the way, with Jon Shafer's At the Gates here, this is very much an incomplete game that needs to have a lot more work done on it. It is currently released on Steam, but in many ways it is probably worse than a lot of early access titles in a lot of regards. Specifically, I'm going to be playing on a faction here that I think actually is kind of needs some work for it. Compared to the other factions, the Avars faction I'll be playing is basically, how can I put this? It's kind of difficult, and I don't think it's intended to be as difficult as it is meant to be. But anyhow, we're going to basically start a new game with them. And I'll note that one of the reasons I'm basically playing with these guys is because they have access to the horse archers, and hopefully in the future I may want to show them off. So there's that. I was thinking of possibly playing about the Huns at some point in the future, but the thing about the Huns right now is that they can't own structures, which basically means their output for their their summons is going to be very, very, very low. And until Jon basically sort of fixes how raiding works, maybe giving a little bit more output for food and stuff like that, it's not really worth playing them right now, so we're just going to play the Avars instead. I'll note with the Avars, by the way, what really makes this guys difficult is the fact that they have this additional supply mouse on their units, and basically this applies to all their units, so it becomes really, really difficult to basically play them as a result of that. And even worse if you have guys traits that basically add to the supply mouse further. It's also going to make using horse units very, very difficult for them as well, but well, I'll deal with that hopefully when I get around to them. I won't be able to have horse archers for a while, so whatever. Now, I'll note, by the way, one more thing before I sort of get into this, I guess. I played the picks on normal difficulty, and what that basically does, it actually changes it so that your guys basically will only consume 1 point food per turn, as opposed to hard here, where you basically play it, and it's going to basically be 2 food that your guys will consume. Essentially, you're consuming double the amount of food with your guys in hard difficulty, and that basically means you have to orient more guys toward food production. I'm doing this, basically playing this difficulty because when I was basically playing with the game on normal difficulty, I wasn't really wanting for food, and that's not really the right way to play this game. So let's actually have it so actually have to worry about food a little bit, shall we? Anyways, let's just play hard here. I'll see what type of start I get. And slowly music dies. One more time. For next time, the time music will be 0 basically, because it's a good way to set the mood having that time music play for the first time, but at the same time, it's also very annoying. Alright, so for those basically coming from the other playlist, I'll note that I'm only have 3 clans showing up here. Something to know about the picks we basically played previously. Those guys basically get 8 clans to start off their game with, and this is opposed to all the other factions that basically have 3. And I'll note that basically for all the other factions, they basically get their next 5 clans to come after them pretty fast. For the picks, basically they had 10 turns where basically they had to wait for a knife guy to basically pop in. But here with the other guys, you basically get your guys basically, all your 5 guys within the next 3 turns, you know, anyways, so it basically balances out where, like, you know, the picks basically can decide what they're going to do with their guys early on, and they get a little bit more extra food to basically help out, whereas everyone else basically has, like, other bonuses going for them. It's actually something I really don't like, by the way, in this game. Something I like about the picks is that, like, you know, you have, like, 8 clans to basically start off with, which is, like, going to get you a good start, but they don't really have any other bonuses going for them as a result of it. And although there's something about this, like, you know, this video playlist, this is actually going to be somewhere centered around, like, you know, things I think should be proved for, like, you know, the faction and, like, you know, other, like, you know, other things in the game. To John, basically, if you're watching this, my first suggestion is probably to make it so that you don't get as many clans, you know, during the start of the game for, like, the other, like, you know, tribes. This will basically give, like, the picks a nice little boost to, like, you know, the fact that basically they're going to be strong for the start with their clans. And, like, you know, it'll be a very good early game for them. And, you know, all the other clans are basically good, sometimes early game, except for these guys. These guys really suck early game. But I'd probably make it so that, like, you know, you basically don't get clans as fast as you do in this game. Because, you know, I think it's, like, you know, going to be sort of overwhelming in many ways, like how fast you basically get them. I prefer perhaps to have it, like, you know, you don't get, you know, say, you know, a clan right away like this. Maybe have it, like, more like colonization where, like, you know, you didn't get, like, your first, like, you know, colonists until, like, you know, a few turns into the game, and, like, you know, be like that in many ways and aspects. All right, I'm sort of rambling on at this point, so let's just start getting started. I'll note that on the map here, we basically have a bunch of rumors, and there's basically a bunch of berries around us, which is very, very good because that'll be good for a food source. We also have some animals over here as well as some minerals, and I don't see any bandits basically showing up, which is very, very nice as well. Because we're 1.3Avars, it's usually a very good idea to basically start in an open area like this, so that's a great thing to basically see. Though eventually I'll have to try and find some wood to basically, like, you know, harvest for later. And our first three clans here. The first guy I'm picking up apparently is Clan Alland, and these guys apparently are patient and meek. So impatient basically means that these guys will, you know, have their training time increased and likelihood of desires doubled. And meek just basically means that they never had desires. They never engage in feuds, theft, or brawls, and they can't be trained in social professions, and their morale is halved. So what this means is that these guys are really, really good for, you know, being in proximity to other people, but they're not very good as, like, an army type of unit. But at the same time, it'll take longer for them to be trained. So I probably want to make these guys, like, you know, into a profession like, you know, a farmer, for example, which basically doesn't have to worry too much about, like, you know, training. And eventually, I'll probably want to, like, stick other people with them, perhaps as well. The next clan I hear have is Squeamish and Obsessive. Obsessive clans basically have a chance of having desires, like, you know, a lot more. And, like, they're also going to have, like, you know, their training time half. So these guys basically train a lot faster. These guys are also Squeamish, so the morale is halved. Again, that's not great for, like, military units, but whatever. They also have, you know, training time doubled in livestock. And they also, like, you know, gain, like, you know, livestock a lot less, but they also will, you know, never engage in, like, feuds or, you know, commit crimes, which is nice. Squeamish is not a bad thing to have for, like, you know, your guys. You just want to basically keep them away from, like, you know, livestock type of, like, you know, issues and such. And then we have Aesthetic here. So Aesthetic basically means that this guy's always going to be content. I think that means that, like, he's never going to go above content, by the way. So he can't make his, like, you know, better in the mood or less. He cannot be ennobled or trained in social professions. So this is probably a guy I want to basically have, like, a crafter or, like, you know, miner or something like that, which basically, you know, doesn't really deal that type of thing. His food consumption is half, which is very, very awesome to have because it basically means that this guy's not going to, like, you know, kill my food supply. He also never engages in feuds, crimes, or brawls. So this is someone that probably would be worth setting in my settlement to basically, like, you know, not basically interact with other people, and, like, you know, that's great to have. He's also resourceful, though. So resourceful is actually a really good thing to have for your guys early on because you're basically going to have issues with, like, you know, your clans with the Avar faction. So this guy can be on the map, and he won't have as, you know, as big an issue basically, like, doing stuff for me. Probably with this guy, I'll want to have him basically on the map doing something for me. So he'll probably be, like, maybe turn into a miner because, you know, I see some minerals around here. And that'll be a good thing for him to do. Alright, so our summon is idle. I have to start training these guys up. This guy here I should probably note that all these guys seem to be, like, you know, good for, like, being next to each other, which is very, very nice. But anyhow, I think that this guy here, I'm going to basically train this guy perhaps to be, like, you know, into, like, a food type of guy, I think, maybe. Or I guess it's this guy here. He's basically impatient, so let's make this guy turn into a gatherer. And we'll basically go after agriculture, so basically, like, you can train a little bit faster if you need to for this guy. And that'll be our first turn. Alright, so yeah, basically note that basically each turn we're going to be getting our, you know, first few clans very, very fast, so it basically sort of balances out very, very quickly with the picks, like how many guys you basically have right at the start. So basically I'll just add this up. Right now we're basically at our fourth clan, and we actually basically had our first clan pop in, so at, like, you know, turn 1, we start with like 3 guys. At turn 2, we're going to start with basically 4 guys. I'm counting this, by the way, so you guys can see, like, as we go along, how many clans we'll basically have, like, you know, by the time we basically, like, you know, get to, like, you know, turn 10, where we'd be like, you know, on max with, like, the picks. So this guy's Sullen. Sullen basically means this guy's never been upset, and he'll never engage in feuds. Luck of desires is halved. Gains experience and all stuff at half. He's also a marksman, so this guy likes to run through, like, you know, rain trials a lot better, which is nice. This is a guy who's probably going to be good for, like, moving around, you know, early on in the game, so I might want to make him basically, like, you know, like a farmer, for example, as well. Okay, we're going to boost this guy up to 3 here, and I guess for now, let's just get this guy to be a reaper. I'm going to make this guy a reaper just so I can possibly, like, you know, identify some of this weed over here, or not identify, but, like, you know, harvest it, and then, like, send this guy to identify stuff for us. And I'll start basically getting, you know, farmers perhaps now. I could go for harvesters over here, which that requires, like, you know, tool space to make use of. So I'll probably go for harvesters by in the future, in the future, just, like, you know, to have for our guys. But for now, basically, it's like, you know, I'll focus basically on just getting some farmers up to make use of, you know, my guys first. So let's just get that going. Turn 2, turn 3. The turn 3, a new clan joins, and this guy's a green thumb, which is very, very nice to see. And furrow. Alright, so this guy's going to be my reaper. We'll send this guy down in this direction over here. And then all the way up over here, I guess. Now, I like the fact that we got this water around us, because it possibly means that there's, like, you know, an ocean nearby, and I like to have oceans around with the bars because it's very, very important to get fishing going with them, because fishing doesn't really impact your supply for your guys, so you can basically send them out, like, willy-nilly, like, no one's business, to basically find food. Alright, this guy's furrow, so that's nice. I'll note because this guy's furrow here, I'm probably going to make him also into a reaper, just so I can basically send him out to do stuff for us. So we'll make this guy into a reaper as well. Possibly send him down, like, you know, not to actually get that weight first, and then, like, you know, that'll be his job. And of course, you know, the 4th turn, we're getting another guy, so we're going to have, like, you know, 6 clan ready to start. And this guy's a dabbler who's envious. Okay, let's have this guy go down this way, I guess. I'll go like this over here. Nice, there's wheat over there as well. So let's have this guy go up here, and right there. So there's the berry bushes up there. And because this guy's made over to this, like, you know, wheat, we'll have us foraging it. That'll basically be added to our stockpile, and, like, you know, that'll basically, you know, be, you know, used to basically be eaten by our guys. Alright, so this guy's envious. Envious is basically, like, you know, bad trait. And bad traits basically means that, like, you know, they, like, you know, just do bad stuff for our guys. He's also a dabbler, so he basically starts with some tools for us, as well as some metalworking. The tools are nice because I can basically make myself a a guy who'd be like, good for, boosting up my, like, these guys' like production early on. I think with, like, this guy, because this guy actually has, like, that, envious trait, I actually want to get him outside my, like, my settlement before long. So, I'll probably turn this guy into a digger right away, just to send him out to identify stuff for us. And we'll do that right now, I guess, just, just to get him out of here. We can send him down to identify those rocks, for example, and that'll be his job. And I think we'll send this guy over here. Oh, so over there we got a problem. There's bands over there. That's not good to see, but oh well. We'll send this guy over here, I guess. This guy down here, because he has wheat, access to wheat down here. I'll send him over here, basically, to harvest it, and then that, of course, will add to our food supply. Now, I really don't like the fact there's bands over here, because that basically means I have to sort of worry about them. But for now, I can't really do anything about them, so I'm not going to worry about just for that reason. All right, so let's see here. This guy is squeamish and obsessive. I might want to make him like a city type of profession, so he basically stay inside the settlement, and he won't be like an issue being staying in his settlement because he won't engage in feuds or commit crimes. Will be likely with him. So with this guy here, let's just make this guy turn into well, he will turn into agriculture, that guy, but we'll do that a little bit later. What I should probably do at this point is figure out what I'm going to do with these guys over here. So I was going to make a digger of this guy, but because this guy basically became a digger for me, I can still make this guy a digger. But the thing is that at this point, I should actually get myself a scout at this point to actually go and scout to the world a little bit to basically find where hazards might be. Actually, you know what I should do with this guy? Because we have an issue with this guy down here, I might turn this guy into a hunter. And the purpose of doing that will be so I can basically get some food from animals, but also if I need to, I can defend myself from this guy down here. So maybe I'll turn this guy into a hunter. And it's usually a better idea to have people who won't have issues with their mood, they basically be hunters, or have people that you can basically have better mood. But, this will be fine for this guy. He just be be a hunter for us, and that'll be fine with him. We'll start getting ourselves harvesters so we can basically get more food. Now, I usually don't go for harvesters, by the way. This is actually something I usually do for the Huns. But in this case, because they don't have lots of garrets with the Avars, I think it'll be okay just to have them. So we'll do it this way. So now train farmers. Alright, so we got someone who's a gentle brown thumb. This guy is basically good for civilian professions, I guess, so that's pretty nice. Brown thumb means he's terrible at agriculture, that's fine as well. I'll probably train this guy to be a crafter of some sort, so maybe I'll have him do woodcutting, for example, right at the start, and then he can do that for us. Okay, this guy over here, let's have him go over here, right there. Now, I'm not bothered with this guy here. You have basically seeing yellow blocks appear for all these places that have woods or hills and stuff like that. Because basically your guys of the Avars have a supply malice, they basically always will have this happen where they need supplies in the forested areas and such. And there's not a whole lot you basically do about it except for just deal with the malice as it goes along. It's unfortunate that basically is a thing for the Avars, and I'll note that if I was to basically change one thing for the Avars, by the way, John, I'd probably make it so your civilian professions like this don't have issues with supply. It's interesting that all your guys have supply issues with the Avars, but at the same time, what's going to happen here is anyone who's basically outside of my faction in hills and such, they won't be able to basically get me resources as fast, just for the simple reason that unless they're inside the borders of my settlement, they're not going to be able to, you know, get as much resources as like, you know, resolve like their encampment basically happening. One basically telling here to Jon, anything that's basically going to be like, you know, in like the forested areas like this, it's going to be like, you know, subject to like a supply malice like every single turn. And my guys basically will basically be half as productive because unlike with other clans where they basically getting stuff like each turn, like during like non-winter seasons, this guy's going to be constantly asking like, you know, to encamp basically as a result. So that's going to happen. Alright, over here, we have our tool cells and tools to start off with, so I'm going to be able to make my like harvest right away. I don't usually do this for other clans, but I'm going to actually buy myself 5 weapons. And the reason I'm buying 5 weapons is so I can basically expand this guy's area with Fortify. Usually I don't do this with other clans because like you don't usually need to have like this area to basically do stuff. But with the Avars, it's so important to basically have like this expanded area to do stuff that, you know, you have to do this. So basically we're going to expand this up a little bit, so basically like, you know, make use of like our like, you know, surroundings a little bit better. Now, note with like clans, by the way, we're now up to like, you know, 7 clans. So basically right now, I'm already basically like, you know, compete with the picks already to basically have like, you know, a whole lot of clans at the start. But anyhow, this guy who's basically brown from to join us, I'm probably going to make him into a crafter. But before we even deal with that, let's like get ourselves maybe a hunter going, so we can have some defense, I guess. What I really should do right now, I guess, is probably get a bunch of hunters to go after this guy down here. Will probably be a thing. And I might do that in a little bit with, like, you know, depending on who I basically have come with us, but, you know, we'll deal with that as we go along. Anyway, so let's just finish our turn for now. And yeah, I note that there's a red border appearing against this guy's portrait over there, and that's just the result of the supply mouse kicking in. But we'll basically have an identify deposit, and he'll basically encamp and, you know, identify each turn for, you know, the next 8 turns. So basically with the Avars, anyways like in hills like this will basically take like 8 turns to identify stuff, and that's just the result of the supply malice basically happening. And let's see here. I'm probably going to have this guy go over here to identify the stuff over here, I think, so let's do that. There's a neutral archer over here apparently, so that guy's over there. Alright, so this guy's going to be a crafter, I guess. This guy over here I want to be my harvester, so let's get that out of the way. Let's get this guy to turn into agriculture for now. Here you got someone who's basically a haggler who's afraid of animals. So this is basically, I forget what turn this is, but I think we had to wait a couple turns before this guy popped up. Of course, the easy way of basically finding out what turn we're on, we just go to load game here, and we are on turn 8 right now. So we basically are like, you know, at turn 8 here. And apparently the pen I'm using is dying, so that's fun. I was actually writing down how many guys I'm basically having here. So turn 8. We now have, like, you know, our 8th clan popping in. So, basically at this point, we're, like, at the same amount of clans as we would have as, like, the picks. And then, like, on like, you know, turn 11 here, we'll have, like, our 9th guy pop in. Basically, I think for, like, all the other clans, I probably have it so, like, you know, it would take, like, a few extra turns, basically. Like, each, like, you know, early turn, basically, get your clans. And this would be a nice bonus, like, to, like, the picks, by the way, because, like, you know, the picks basically don't have a whole lot going for them except for extra food and more clans to basically start off with. I think it'd probably be better if like the picks, for example, had like, you know, more leeway with like, you know, how many clans they had at the start of the game. So maybe like, you know, for them, the picks, you might keep it as is where like they have the 10 clans to start off with, or 8 clans to start off with and 10 turns basically get a new one. For all the other clans though, I'd probably make it so like maybe they take like, you know, maybe like, you know, 1 turn maybe for like the first turn basically get their first colonist, 2 turns maybe get like the second colonist. You know, that's a bit of a deal where, like, you know, it takes a little bit longer early game, basically, to, like, get your clans. I actually think that'd be better for this game as well, because a lot of us, like, I'll note for, like, people basically, like, you know, looking in on this game, it's really basically a game about managing your clans and, like, you know, managing them to, like, the best of your ability. Sometimes, basically, you won't have, like, you know, the best clan to basically do, like, the operation you want them to. You'll always have to wait for, like, the next clan to come, and sometimes, like, you know, the next clan you'll have, comes will fit the bill for what you want to have them do. and the next game won't. Basically, I think like you should have it, Jon should have it in his game so that as like you're like picking up plans, you like have some issues happening where like you get that guy like you need like a few turns to go, stuff like that early on in the game. That would actually hurt RNG in many ways, but I think it'd be worth it for this game because this is like a sort of RNG like dedicated game anyways. Anyways, this guy popped up. We're gonna have him go over to. There's apparently 2 archers over here. Now, I don't know if the Huns, by the way. If I was the Huns, I'd probably send like my horse archers to basically raid these guys. You'd be able to get like lumber or like food from these guys, and that'd be like really useful. But let's have this guy over here, and I'll basically identify this for us. I'm gonna basically turn this guy into our, harvester, I guess. Let's do that with him. So this guy who joined Audric, he's basically afraid of animals, so we can't have him in the livestock profession. And apparently his powers are mounted units as half, so he's not going to be very good against like lancers or knights. He's not very good if I have to fight myself like a mounted raider. He's also a good haggler, so this guy might be good for like exploration, I guess, early on. Will be the idea with him. So I might do that with him. Okay, let's say your profession. At this point, basically, I've done enough of like agriculture, I guess. So I probably should start focusing on like getting some other professions basically sorted out. So maybe we'll go after crafting, I guess, first. And while we're basically doing this, I should probably like make it so like these are like my other guys here. I basically have like doing stuff. I'll probably make this guy into like a crafter over here. And I probably want to be a woodcutter. I could make this guy into a wood collector, by the way. But one thing I want to do with this guy, we're going to get him to do some crafting. Now, because basically I'm going to make this guy do crafting, I'll basically get a bonus to like his like discipline. So obviously like research like 1 crafting and then like have a 1 there, and I will like get like more crafting after that. I'll basically have like even more. What I plan to do with that guy is send like up here to like make like a lumber camp over here. So basically this guy's going to have as much issues as he has right now. So that'll be the plan of him. We'll boost him up with that. Now I heard a moving sound, and none of my guys are moving, so it's possible he has some bands or something around in the area, so I gotta watch out for that. Let's see here. This guy's gonna be going for harvester, so it's gonna do that right now. Now I probably know with like your training of your guys, by the way. How it basically works is anyone who's basically like trying to train for a profession that is like higher than what what level than what the guys are. Basically, think about it this way, where like the stuff down here is like level 1 professions. Then you have like level 3 professions, level 5, level 7, level 9 professions, I guess we'll say. Essentially, like how it basically works is like each level that you basically have for your guys will dictate like how long it will basically take to like train like these other professions. So this like profession down here, harvester. I'm able to basically train harvester a lot faster down here because I already had a level in agriculture. And if he's basically in like no level like guy is this guy is basically trained for a harvester, it takes to take him 3 turns basically train into a harvester. So basically it will usually take like 2 turns to train into like a reaper or gatherer. It would take 3 turns to turn into a harvester, 4 turns basically to turn into a tiller, 5 turns for a baker, and then like 6 turns for a preserver, I guess we'll say. And essentially how it basically works is like the more levels you have for your guys, the faster they basically train into other stuff. Is like how like this level basically works here. Anyhow, because I basically have that done, we're going to basically ourselves some loggers. Loggers are pretty important for like your guys early on, because basically you'll be able to make better use of like your terrain, like around here for example. If I like put down like a logger camp right there, this guy will be able to work without having like issues of like, identifying stuff all the time. So there's that. Alright, welcome back to the welcoming screen here. So, something I know about At the Gates is that it's prone to crashing. And it's like one of the reasons I basically refer to this game as like, being like, not a whole lot better than an early access title. Basically this game, and one of the reasons I didn't like do a Let's Play of it much earlier in its lifetime, it's always been prone to crashing where, like, you know, I go, like, you know, 10 or 20 turns and, like, the game will crash. And that's just what happened here. Basically, I went 10 turns and the game crashed on me. We're basically just going to go back into this game at turn 9, and hopefully I'll be able to play from there. But hopefully, like, you know, we can actually get somewhere, or else obviously restart this Let's Play again. Okay, let's just get this guy to be a crafter. And, you know, do something different, I guess, this time around. It might be like, you know, these guys, like, you know, I was, like, researching, like, you know, harvester for this guy, maybe? Who knows what happens, basically make it crash, but whatever. I guess for this guy over here, I was planning on making him into, like, you know, a gather perhaps at this point. Although in this game, you're going to need lots of gathers to, like, to do stuff, so getting this guy to be a gather would probably be a good thing for me to do, so maybe I'll get him to do that for us. So switch professions and go into, like, you know, the gathering profession for him. And obviously start researching loggers again because, you know, I'm going to need that profession to do stuff for the other guy. Alright, we haven't crashed yet, so we're on 10 turns, so that's a good thing, so we're still able to keep playing. I don't know how this is basically going to, like, you know, impact the video, by the way, with, like, you know, the crashes, but it's basically something I know about this game. You didn't really see a single crash in, like, the last Let's Play, which is, you know, something I'm very thankful for, but there'll probably be, like, a few cuts where, like, you're going to have like, issues, like, you know, the game crashing over and over again. But, whatever. This guy's going to be a gather, I guess, so let's get him to do that, I guess. I might get a guy a harvester at some point, but, you know, we'll go for the gatherer first, I guess, for now. So yeah, turn 11, we basically get ourselves our, like, you know, our next guy. And in many ways, like, you know, essentially, like, you know, the picks, they basically have a net loss in, like, the turn amounts of, like, clans they have at the start of a game. I actually do like the idea of them not having, like, you know, a bunch of clans pop in after, like, you know, 10 turns, but I would probably change it so that for them, the picks, they basically have it, or, you know, either so that they basically have, like, you know, clans faster than other, like, you know, tribes, or make it so, like, all the other tribes basically get their clans slower. I'd actually opt to have it so all the other tribes get their, like, clans slower, but, you know, whatever works. Basically right now, it's, like, not really balanced to, like, you know, really favor the picks, so, like, you know, how many guys they have, but oh well. And yeah, I'll know about what's getting to late September, and basically seeing supply miles happen here. Basically, like, this guy here we basically have it going on for us. He's going to have, like, issues with supply very, very soon, but for now it's basically somewhere here to start gathering some berries. Now, no big reason for, like, getting, like, all these, like, reapers and gathers at the start of the game for me is because I have, like, you know, the food issues with, like, the Avars, because of the fact that, like, you know, what's going to happen here, these guys are going to basically have to go look for, like, more food for me. And it's not going to be, like, the greatest thing for them to do early on, but, you know, it'll have to be done. Okay, this guy's a peddler who's wild. These guys, like, you know, will probably be good to be, like, a military unit, I guess. Here's the thing. I'm basically trying to get a few military units basically go after these guys at some point, so that'll be, like, something I want to do. Now, it is, like, you know, knowing that this guy's going to be, like, you know, possibly capable of getting feuds, but I'm probably going to have to go after this guy to become a harvester, I guess, for now. Honestly, get that harvester. You know, that might actually be when we crash the game having a harvester in the game, but we'll see. You know, we'll see if the game crashes if I get a harvester again, so if it might be, like, you know, if it's a harvester like, crashing it, that, you know, I just can't have a harvester around, but we'll see. Let's do this for now. Alright, Karam has arrived. You can forge that for us right now. Now, I'll note with the Avars, usually it's a good idea to have, like, you know, some food bought for, like, the first winter, but we don't really have much issues with food for these guys right now, I think, so we can probably survive if, like, you know, I'm careful. And I don't know like the the caravan has money here, and like you generate some money, but I can't actually buy anything because I bought those weapons early on. But that's worth it too as well. Okay, study profession. We are still loggers basically available now, so that's cool. I might want to get potter, so I basically can increase my my guys output with their stuff again as well. That'll require some wood to basically get make use of, but it'll be worth it I think in the long run. Okay, let's finish with that. Now, nobody's getting cold, so basically seeing like this guy stop foraging right now. Basically, this is something to note with the DFuxa. Basically, when it gets cold, you can't harvest your things. But also, have supply mouse with the DFuxa, so I'm gonna have to watch out for this guy very carefully because he's gonna be in supply mouse constantly now. What I'm gonna do with him though right now is I'm gonna just move him around here, and we're gonna basically look around for other stuff basically to exploit, I guess, for this guy for now. And hopefully you don't get caught by bandits or anything like that, but we'll see what happens. This guy's basically our harvester. Let's get this guy to be a logger, so we'll do that with him. And we'll show less at this point because then we need to have all his stuff being displayed. So we'll do that. And we got someone who's basically attentive with spiffing leash basically popping up. But anyhow, this guy over here, let's get him to start moving over in this direction, I guess. So we can basically get him toward the wood over here. Move him here for now. And we'll skip our turn. And we're just going to encamp for you. Now note that this guy as well is also having issues with the cold because it's getting colder down here. For those basically who basically viewing this, basically this game has something some indication of seasons in this game where terrain will basically be affected by how cold it is during the time of the year, and it's basically divided into this game where it goes by in half month increments. So basically it's late October right now. It's getting colder in the land, and people can't harvest their food further and further down the map. Of course, during to the north, basically it's gonna be colder, but we'll get hotter and hotter as we go down towards the south. But during wintertime, of course, it gets colder and colder as it goes down the map. So this guy now can't harvest because basically it's gotten colder down here. Eventually, at some point, we'll start to see snow form around the mountains as well as that. It's down in the north as well. So lots of interesting things will basically be happening. And cool. This looks like an ocean basin down here, which is very, very nice. Okay, this guy's attentive, and it takes less time to basically identify stuff. He's nice. What I'm probably gonna do with this guy here. We're going to probably make him into a digger as well. I might want to get a miner at some point, but the thing about getting a miner at this point is I don't have the wood basically to make use of the minerals and stuff. So not really worth it, but whatever. Well, let's see here. I'm actually thinking about making this guy my scout right now, just to get him out of here, so I might want to do that with him. Actually what I really need to do is get this guy to be out of my, my son, so he doesn't have any issue with other people, so we're going to train this guy to be a hunter, I think. And let's go from there. And yeah, I can basically see the snow starting to settle in now. It's basically settling around the hills first and the mountains, but eventually it's going to come down to the top of the map as well. And we found some stone over here. That's nice. You can get your encampment going on. This guy here, I'll basically have him walk over like this. And you're going to go up over in this direction, I guess, as well. So, ooh, look at that, more fish. You're going to encamp down there. This is actually a really good setup for DFuxa because I actually have like, you know, 2 oceans next to me that I can make use of to basically get more fishermen at some point. But anyhow, let's see here. I'm actually want to pack up my clan and get this, like, you know, moving over in this direction at this point, I guess. I probably actually should have done it last turn so I guess, you know, make them go up this way, but whatever. Actually, you know what? We'll get our hunters first. I'm probably going to send a hunter over here at this point, just get this, like, you know, stuff identified and, like, you know, meet these guys up a little bit, but, you know, we'll get our hunters first. Let's get ourselves some metalworking, basically, you know, being researched as well, I guess, so we'll do that. And of course, yeah, now it's getting colder up here, so it first goes around like the mountains and stuff and hills, but then it comes down from the north. So that's what's happening right now. Let's get this guy over here. You're going to encamp. You're going to encamp. Now this guy here, he's identified as stone for me, but I'll go and use him basically to identify other stuff as well, I guess, at some point, though. We'll forge for now because, you know, I need to have, like, you know, more, you know, stuff to sell. This guy here, we'll move him up here to identify these, like, you know, plants, and we'll find out what they're all about. I'm gonna boost this guy's, like, you know, metalworking at this point because, like, they're already good for metalworking, and I'll get basically the, you know, most gain from it. But let's see here. So this guy's afraid of animals. I can't make them into a farmer, fisherman. I have to eventually get fishermen, I guess, at this point, but, you know, we'll basically deal with these guys as they go along, I guess, at this point for other stuff. You know, I'm thinking about making this guy to, like, a crafter type of unit, I guess. So I might do that with him, but for now, because this person's attentive, I might just make her into, like, you know, a digger for now, so I can identify stuff around me. So we'll do that. And while we're basically doing that, let's get ourselves some miners, basically research, I guess, so we can basically get miners. Alright, this guy here. We're going to basically send her over here to, like, identify these rocks, I guess, for now. You're going to basically move up over here. You're trapped in a blizzard, so you're just going to encamp. We'll have my lumberjack, I guess, over here, basically move over here, and over here. And that's scary to see right there is another bandit I have to deal with, but we're going to basically keep these guys moving as I can for now, I guess. You know, what I might want to do with the auto cure is turn me into, like, a hunter unit, just so you can basically help me, like, you know, clear out these bandits right now. So it's really, like, you know, I usually want to make these, like, you know, only if they turn into, like, stuff if they're going to be useful for it, so we'll make this guy an explorer, I think, would be the plan. Now, don't bother with, like, you know, my guys basically turning me into disciplines first and then, like, the jobs. Something about this game is that you can try and train, like, guys directly into, like, you know, jobs from, like, the get-go with this game, but it's always better to train them into a discipline first because if you want to basically change, like, over, you know, something else, like, midway, they'll at least have the discipline, like, trained. It's actually something I actually suggest, like, you know, if you're going to do, John, make it so, like, you know, whenever, like, you train these guys, they always get the discipline right, you know, on, like, the next turn after, so that, like, you know, you don't, like, you know, miss stuff if, like, you have to retrain them and such. It also helps for, like, you know, guys who basically have, like, you know, issues being trained as well later on. Okay, someone Stoic and Obedient basically joined us. So Obedient's pretty good. These guys basically, like as you can see, have no issues with feuds and such. And Stoic basically means that they are always content, they never engage in feuds, desires. Not a bad guy to have around if he's going to be with other people. You're going to identify this for me. And we're going to send this guy down in this direction, I guess, to look around for stuff, maybe. Actually, what I'm probably going to do with this guy here, I'm probably going to have him sit on the, this field of wheat for now. And we'll basically have him camp there when I get the chance. Now I'm going to make this guy into my explorer. It's basically he can be useful for us. Now I'm probably going to explore, by the way, in the direction over here, perhaps. Though exploring up here might be a good idea as well, because there's forests and such around. But I prefer to probably explore in this direction more than anything else. We'll go over here first, I guess. So there's the bandits over here. I bet there's probably guys moving around over here somewhere, but they're not exactly right next to me just yet. You guys over here will move over here, I guess, for now. Alright, so here's the first faction we basically found. This guy's a green guy, so it's a Pix. He's got an archer there, apparently, so that's interesting. You're just going to encamp. I still wish there was an encamp for winter button for your guys, so basically you can encamp for the winter. But that's not a major thing, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Okay, this guy needs to get himself into a hunter profession, I guess, so we'll do that with him. And we're just gonna study profession. We'll get access to stuff down here, I guess. I usually go for blacksmiths usually with the early game, but I think this time around we're going to go for weaponsmiths. Usually don't bother with weaponsmiths early on in the game, but with the Avars here, it's very important to get more tool use for you guys. So I can basically turn any iron basically if I find it into tools right away. Will be my plan. So we found some iron, which is nice. And we met the Pix. Alright, so here is Pix. Apparently he's got an error for his approach, so that's a bit of an issue, but whatever. He has one friend, and he's basically friends with someone else. But his enemies with the Elementi and me. So that's not the greatest thing, but whatever. His relationship with me right now is basically, +1 for shared beliefs. Because he's basically erratic, he's going to be sometimes at war with me, sometimes not at war with me. Now, I'll note, by the way, because I basically have, some food, I could actually give this guy some food, but with the Avars, I think we're going to basically say it's nice to meet him, and it's going to be, send him on his way. So right now his approach with me is war. It's possible I could make him, into a friend, but, I'm not going to worry about him too much, I don't think. Apparently his territory is over here. You're going to encamp. Okay, so there's a scout. My scout's basically seeing a band over here, apparently, so that's interesting. We'll have this guy go over here, over here, over here, and over here. It looks like this is basically just an enclosed area over here, but for the most part, but there's a couple of bands that we've got to deal with, so we'll do that, I guess. You're going to encamp. You're going to forge some iron for us. And yeah, the display would be a lot better if, like, you know, buttons summons worked and, you know, all that. Okay, let's turn this guy into a hunter. Now this guy might get attacked if I'm not careful, because there's, like, you know, these guys next to him. But we're just going to, you know, let's see here. You know, these guys right now, they basically have, like, a power of, like, 0.3, so if they did attack, you know, it wouldn't be too damaging to these guys if they got attacked, I guess. So we're just going to camp them right there. And this guy's now a hunter, so that's cool. Now this guy here, I think what I want to do, we're going to enter into settlement with this guy here. And I'm going to pack up my settlement at this point. I'm going to basically try and pick up these hunters, so basically, you know, we can try to deal these bands down here, so I can clear them out. Now let's see, you are going to basically, like, keep exploring for me, I guess, so let's go here, and up here. And apparently there's a stream up here, that's interesting.